October 28th. I saw one today, a scorched beast. It was terrifying, it was surreal, and it was amazing. I know how horrifying it is, what it represents, what it can do, but I can't help feeling a strange fascination when I think about it now. Let me back up. It's always better to start from the beginning and keep the events straight in my mind. I woke up and ate the last of my rations from the vault, a few fancy lad snack cakes and a can of purified water. I'd have to cook from now on, or eat old, expired food. I slipped on my fire breather's jacket, mask, and helmet, said my goodbye to Tiffany, and took one last look at the Charleston Fire Department. I won't lie, it was hard to leave this place. The area around the building was quiet and the bots kept the building safe and protected. I even had someone to talk to, but this wasn't my home. Not yet. I had to finish what I started first. I checked the map to see how far away the top of the world was. If I was lucky, I would make it by nightfall. Without a moment to lose, I hit the road. Along Route 62, I came across an eerie sight, a camp cobbled together from wood walls, scrap metal, and canvas tarps to provide some protection from the sun overhead. Next to one of the entrances was a sign that looked like a mountain with skis crossed under it like crossbones. I headed into the woods and cautiously made my way around the outside of the camp, taking cover from tree to tree. The camp was silent. Nobody walking in or out, no voices, nothing. Part of me wanted to head inside, see if there were any supplies left from the people who lived there, until I saw 2 severed human heads on pikes. That was enough to make me think twice about my plan and hightail it as fast as I could away from that camp. Abandoned or no, I decided it would be best to keep to the woodline from here on out. And that's when I saw it. Off in the distance, I saw a light green haze emanating from a crack in the pavement in the middle of the road, a few scorched standing just beyond it. As I was about to take a shot on the scorched, I heard it, a screech coming from the crevice. Out shot the terrifying creature. Its wings were enormous, each beat pushing clouds of ash and dust into the sky. Its body seemed to glow faintly, pulsing with radiation and heat. It looked like something out of a nightmare, its body twisted and unnatural, almost skeletal, and its glowing eyes seemed to burn with malice. Part of me wanted to run, but another part couldn't look away. The terror was real, but so was the awe. I broke through my own thoughts. I had to move. The words of Claire rang in my mind. Find a building. Find cover. With no buildings in sight, I ran behind a tree before the blasts of radiation that belched from its mouth could hit me. And that's where I hid. I had to. The beast circled the area, looking for me. I could hear its massive wings flapping in the wind. I kept in my hiding spot, adjusting my position to avoid its gaze. When I felt like there was enough time for me to run, I bolted. I put as much distance as I could between me and the beast, straight up the hill and into the woods. I had to keep myself away from it. With the scorched beast behind me, I made my way up over the hill and back to the main road. I breathed a sigh of relief as my heart finally started to settle in my chest again. I stayed off the main road, staying in the brush along the side. My head was on a swivel and my nerves were on edge. I felt like I was ready for anything. The sun was hanging low in the sky as I drew closer to the top of the world. I was hugging a rocky outcropping when I heard the low, guttural growl and heavy footsteps from something on the cliff above me. Gunfire rang out from the White Springs Resort and I backtracked a bit to find a better position to finally see it. How do I describe the thing I saw? It was massive, towering over everything. Its body was bulbous and misshapen, covered in pale, rubbery flesh that looked slick. It had no neck, just a hulking form with 2 thick arms that it used to move itself forward. Its legs were short and stubby and it pushed itself along like a chimpanzee. Luckily, the bots that protected the resort had its attention so I could observe the monster. With each hit, black ooze sprouted from its body. Oil, maybe? I found some cover and watched the battle unfold. I was rooting for the bots, but the monsters might rip through them. Explosions and flying metal parts filled the air as I watched on with a horrified fascination. It seemed to attack with superior strength and balls of black goo from its body. As quickly as the gunfire started, it settled down. The monster had destroyed the bots and scurried off to find more to break apart. I didn't wait for it to return to its roost above the road. I continued on my journey before I became a mangled mess like those bots. The sun had set completely below the horizon, and the thought of finding a place to camp started to sound better and better with each step. Suddenly, my Pip-Boy indicated that there was a new radio signal. I turned it on to listen.
Calling all right. This is the Rose. If you hear me, the top of the world, Pleasant Valley. I need help getting together so we can. If you think you look forward to meeting you.
Someone was up there. The message was garbled, but it sounded like she needs help. I pushed on in hopes of finding someone alive up at the top of the world. The top of the world finally came into view against the night sky. It was huge, much bigger in person. Round platform covered by a dome with a broadcast tower on top. That's where I needed to go. Hopefully Madigan is up there with this Rose person. I noticed that the old highway sign for the Pleasant Valley Ski Resort had an odd symbol over it, a bird drawn in red ink, or maybe blood. And below that was a menacing sight, a camp made of rusted scrap metal, canvas tarps, and spikes. It reminded me of the one I had seen earlier on the road, but this symbol was much different. And this one had people at it. I heard soft banjo music drifting from the camp and spotted a person pacing near the front entrance. I ran into the brush line to get a better look. I thought I avoided being seen until I heard the shots ring out and an alarm blast. They had seen me and I was in a fight for my life. These people were heavily armed and one even wore a suit of power armor. Dogs were soon on my heels. I didn't know how many they had chasing me, but I stuck to my strategy. My only chance was to break their line of sight, hide, and take them out from any cover or hiding spot I could. During my retreat, I was shot and burned, getting hit several times by bullets and the occasional enemy that got too close. For a moment, I thought this was the end. My heart pounded loudly in my ears, and I knew I had used my last stim pack. I thought this was it. But somehow, I was able to put enough distance between me and my new enemy and find cover. I hunkered down, ripped up some clothes, and was able to stop the bleeding that the stim pack didn't stop. I felt a new feeling wash over me. I was alive, but now, I was angry. These people just shot at anyone who walked too close to their camp, and though I couldn't blame them for being cautious, they tried to kill me. I was one person against their 10 or more, and who knows what they would do to me if they found me. Instead of slinking off somewhere and hiding like I normally would, I decided to try to take them out myself, end their threat, maybe even find more medical supplies at their camp. They'd be more useful to me than those assholes. Once I was strong enough to do so, I got to my feet and slowly made my way to the top of the hill. I had the high ground. First things first, get rid of the big guy in the power armor. When I saw them again, they were shooting at something. I assumed for a moment that they were shooting at a spot where they thought I was. I took a shot while the one in power armor was distracted. The darkness made it difficult to see my target as I positioned myself in a place to face off against them, but it also made me harder to hit as well. With one final shot, I put the man in the power armor down. Now, to take care of the rest. I crept forward to find better angles at the others from the makeshift camp. These bandits, raiders, whatever you want to call them, they kept firing in my direction. At least that's what I thought before some creature, black as night with glowing red eyes, made a chirping noise before rocketing into the sky. My breath caught in my throat and I stumbled back a bit. I quickly shook off my shock. I couldn't focus on that right now. I had to keep focused on the immediate threat. After I cleared out the rest of the enemies from the safety of my perch on the hill, I slowly made my way to their camp. The place was set up like a small fort with defenses, supplies, sleeping areas, and 2 ways in and out. It was perfectly placed to harass anyone heading up to the top of the world. I spent a few minutes picking through what little they had left. I found a few stimpaks and some canned food. Not enough to make killing all of those people worth it. I did find some comfort knowing that others that came after me would be a little bit safer. Among everything else at the camp, I found a holotape.
Mass no weak beneath our feet. Prepare for war. Bathe in gore. Blood eagles, have no fear. Blood eagles just want your ears.
Now that the battle was over and the adrenaline was wearing off, I felt the damage that was done to my body. My wounds needed some time to heal, and my muscles needed rest. I was so close to my goal, but if there were more of these blood eagles at the top of the world, I would be in no shape to face them. Instead, I headed into the woods and made a small camp away from the road. I kept the fire a little more than low embers to avoid drawing attention as much as possible. I used up most of the medical supplies that I found in that camp to patch myself up. Most of the bleeding has stopped, but I find my mind wandering back to the woman I killed a few days ago. What if she was like one of these blood eagles? How many people did she hurt or kill to survive as long as she had? Were my actions justified, like I find myself justifying them now? This world is taking its toll on me. I just need sleep. Maybe this is all a bad dream and I will wake up back in the vault, safe, warm, and with no blood on my hands. I highly doubt that.